welcome back to West Coast XC, our podcast and YouTube episode that we do. We try to do every week, and we appreciate you watching or listening. If you are watching on YouTube, if you would mind subscribing, that would be awesome. If you're listening on Apple Podcast or on Spotify, if you could follow, that would be great to build up our numbers there. In this week's episode, I'm going to have Coach Albert Caruana. He is the head coach of the Crystal Springs Uplands School in the Bay Area. He also is the editor of the Cross Country Express, knows a lot about the sport of cross country and track in the state of California and throughout the country. So he did some research about the 4x800, which is you'll talk more about. And we'll also kind of review the season in California for distance runners. This last weekend, I went to Lincoln High School in Portland, Oregon, and took pictures of the Cardinal Varsity Invitational. And then I got in my car the next morning and went up to Puyallup. Puyallup is near Tacoma. I guess you could say it's in the Seattle area. Watched Seattle area athletes and some Spokane runners too. They came also. Race on Saturday. It was great to be up in Washington. Anyway, I took pictures of both meets, and they're up on our website, westcoastxc.com, and also on our bio and our Instagram account at westcoastxc. So you can download those photos and use them as you wish, and that'd be great. So anyway, let's listen to Coach Caruana as we learn more about the season in California. We're happy to have on Coach Albert Caruana from Crystal Springs Uplands. He's been on before. I'm happy to have you back again. Also, the editor of the Cross Country Express. Coach, thanks for coming back on.
All right. Thank you for inviting me again. That was fun the first time we got to chat.
Oh, it was really fun. So I want to ask you, I have you on here because most of the CIF sections are moving into going to the state. There are some sections that are doing their league championships this week. Either way, it's the postseason in California. So we want to look back at the season and just see, what kids from California popped out to you in the 800, 16, and 3200. But before we do that, last week I talked to Eric Detman of Lincoln High School here in Portland, and he put on an invitational that emphasized the 4x800, which Oregon does not have in the state meet. And I said to Eric, yeah, I went to California 2 years ago. It was brand new there, and they were making a big deal about how they were late to the game. And because I only spend time in Washington, Oregon, and California, I didn't realize that most of the United States has the 4x8. And you sent out a tweet last week that says that there are 45 states, and the 5 that do not, 2 of them include Washington and Oregon. And can you tell us a little bit about how California got the 4x800 and how it's going so far?
Yeah. So the 3 other states, I think you got Texas, Montana, and Hawaii. Those are the 3 other states. And California, once again, late to the party, it seems. I think California was one of the last state meets to add girls to the state meet program. And it took over 100 years for California to add the 4x8. So I asked around, and what they said was that CIF Track and Field Advisory Committee, they sent out a survey to all sections asking, okay, hey, what could be added to the state meet schedule? And they asked, they included the 4x2, the sprint medley relay, distance medley relay, and the 4x8. And the 4x8 was the only event that got traction, and eventually it was added. And I think most distance coaches were very happy with it. I think some sprint coaches probably were like, hey, we want to add the 4x2. But this allowed California to add a distance relay to the event, and it's been fantastic. This is the 3rd year we've had it, and there's so many. I mean, in a very short history, there's already been some very exciting races. So it's been great. It's been a great addition.
How do coaches figure out if they're going to go for the 4x800? Because they might have superstar kids.
Yeah.
Do they how do they do that? Because it seems like some really good 4x8 teams are there that some of their kids could have run the 3200.
Yeah. So the tough part is where it's located. So I think when you add an event, it's like, okay, where are we going to put this? Where can this event be? where it's possible that some kids can double. So right now it's basically between, so if you're a distance runner, you could potentially do the 1600 and the 4x8. You can do the 4x8 and the 4x4, but it's right before the 4x8 is right before the 3200s. So there's no way a good distance kid can do the 4x8 and then come back and run the 3200. Last year, Sadie Engelhardt, she had to drop the 800 because she wanted to run the 4x8 with her teammates. So it's you have to really pick your spot, especially in California. I mean, I'm biased, and I think I'm familiar with some of the other states, but California, I don't know if there's any other state that has no divisions. It's just one division, and if you're gonna double, like you're really good.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's a really hard decision. You have some runner who wants to win the 800 at state, but also has a is on a good 4x8 team. It's definitely a decision that has to be made.
Yeah. And then as you're going through the different, like in Southern section, you got the prelims, the finals, masters, then the state meet.
Right.
It's possible you might be disappointed or upset. What's the word? Surprises one of your superstars doesn't make it. Then
Yeah.
I guess you've got this 4x8 because it's usually at masters, at least in Southern
Right.
section.
Yeah. So I don't understand completely how it's done in the certain section, but I believe that like this year, I believe they take the top 15 teams that have run that time this year. That's who qualifies, and then they're able to run at the Masters meet, and I believe five make it from the Southern section. Like from our section, we get three entries in all the other events, but in the 4x8, we only get two.
Hmm.
And so I think they're still working through,
All
and this
right.
is the third year. So I think next year, for example, at the state meet, there's no trials for the 4x8. It goes straight to the finals. And I think as we have a little more history in the event, I think eventually we're potentially will get more teams from each section. There'll be at large qualifiers, and at some point they'll add a trials to the Friday meet.
Yeah, well, I will say I was there the last 2 years. It's extreme, it's super fun.
Yeah.
The kids are, when they finish, they're super excited. It's a
Yeah.
great podium picture. It's really fun.
It's, just from our perspective. So in CCS 2 years ago, and the first time we had it, only two teams qualified, and in the boys 4x8, there was three lead changes in the last lap, and
Yeah.
and only two made it. And last year, Sadie gets the baton, she drops it,
Mhm.
goes to pick it up, drops it again, and then has to go after, and they end up winning. So it's just, and San Clemente has won the first two 4x8s for the boys. So it's just been a great addition. One thing I wish they would bring back, Stanford used to have a 4x800 at their invitational. And
Mm,
years ago, they dropped the 4x8 and added an individual 800. And I don't know if it'll ever happen, but it would be great if they add the 4x8 again, because obviously it's a pretty big event now in California.
right. Well, awesome. So that's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm going to be down there for the California State meet, and it's really fun. It's
Yeah.
just like bang bang. Then there's the 3200. It's just
Oh
it's really
yeah.
exciting. So let's talk about some of the kids that ran really well this year in the 8, the 1600, and the 3200 in the state of California. We're not making predictions for the state meet because we don't know which events they're going to enter and things like that. And you did mention that California, for those people that are listening from Washington and Oregon, only has one state meet. I wrote this down, Coach. Oregon has 6 divisions. We have
Right.
4.2 million people living here.
Yeah.
California has 39 million people, and there's one division. It's just a
Yeah.
one state meet. And so, in order to do that, you have to go through like this gauntlet of like preliminary races to get there. And so, coaches have to make a tough decision. Having your kids run double races through prelims, finals, masters, depending on the section, is a lot. And then
Yeah.
the meet's not very long because it's just finals. And so we don't know when we're talking about these kids, we're not saying they're going to be in the California State meet. We're just excited about their season.
Sure. And I think, I mean, in California, if you qualify to the state meet, like, you're really good. And for some kids, just making it to the meet is a huge accomplishment. So
Right.
yeah, and yeah, so it's just one race, and if you win your race in California, you're the state champion. There's no like, oh, I'm the Division 3, I'm Division 4, or anything like that. So it's a tremendous accomplishment if you can win state in California.
And kids from small schools can pull it off. I grew up in Ventura County, and just over the county line is Carpinteria.
Yeah,
And Tom Gruey won it when I was a junior, the 1600. And
yeah,
then Candelli, I think is how I say his name, he won it when
yeah,
I was coaching in Ventura County.
right.
Little school in Carpinteria has
Yeah,
two 1600-meter champions. Anybody can win it.
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, for us, I mean, I coach at a school with 350 students, and we've made the state meet the last few years in several events, and but but I don't talk about small school, big school. Like, you're either good or you're not, and I just think that that's the standard. The standard is, if you want to make the state meet, here's what you need to do.
Well, let's find out. We'll see. But these are kids that just had great seasons. We don't know which events they're going to be doing. But in the girls 800, what are some athletes that stood out for you for this year?
Yeah, so from last year, the top returner from the state meet is McKenna Herbst, and so she's also has the fastest time in California this year. Ran 2:04.72 at the meet of champions. So I mean, at this point, she's the favorite. Annalise Packard of J. Sarah Catholic, she's got three sub 2:10 times this year. She's also run 2:07. And actually, the third fastest time in California is actually Kiara Daly, who we'll talk about with other events, but she's run 2:07.99 this year. And Kylie Hornert of Prospect, she was a state finalist last year, finished seventh, and she has the fifth fastest time this year at 2:08.84.
Yeah, Kara Daly. We'll talk a lot about her. She's had an outstanding track season. We'll talk about
Right.
her quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, McKenna Herbst won the Arcadia Invitational. That's kind of your statement race, and I think she had finished second last year in the California State Meet. So,
Right.
got to
Yeah,
think that.
I think if you take a look at top returner, fastest time, running great at big meets, I mean, she's the clear favorite in the 800.
Now, in the boys' race, we have some kids in the southern section, and then we have kids in Northern California that have been racing each other quite a bit this year too. That are had some great seasons in the boys 800.
Yeah, so Josiah Bowman of Sage Creek, so he's got the fastest time this year. He's run 1:50.39. He also won the Arcadia 1600.
Oh yeah,
So he's, like, he's got the fast time, has strength, and he'll probably be one of the favorites there. Wyland Obando was second in Arcadia, and if you remember that race, I can remember the kid's last name, but Tiago from Balin Jesuit
right,
ran an incredible like 1:47 with like
right.
55:52, and I think he like salsa his way down the
He
last 100.
did. He
I
like moved his hands in the air, and then he gave it one of
Yeah,
these things. Maybe
yeah,
that's a 146 if he doesn't do that, but what do I know?
yeah. And the funny thing was, I was in the stands and his parents were in front of me, and I think they celebrated more than him. So it
Oh,
was
it's
it
exciting.
was quite a scene. So Wyland was second behind them. Alden Morales of J. Sarah, he's run 150.8. He ran 149.9 last year.
Right.
Um, Then, so we were talking about the 4x8. So Jack Paradise of Great Oak, he's
Yeah,
run 151.5, but they have the fastest 4x8 relay in California. So that there's going to have to be a decision there. I mean, he either doubles, does he? I mean, I'm assuming they're going to run the 4x8 because they want to win the 4x8. So then, what's that do with the Open 800?
Yeah,
So
so Jacob Brown is number 10, and he's another great old kid. So
yeah.
they've got some fast guys.
Right. And then you have let's see, Beckett Sullivan from Poly Riverside, got second in Mount Sac. And then Lucas Alberts from Jesuit, he's run 151.91. He's only a sophomore, ran 154 last year. And they're also in the mix in the 4x800.
Right.
So the 4x8 has definitely affected the 800.
Mhm.
I don't think it's as deep as it used to be because some kids they will choose to not run the 8 and run the 4x8. So that's where the decisions are going to be made in those events.
I want to mention Hugh Heyer. He's also a sophomore in the Sacramento area. So it's a nice little
Yeah,
rivalry between Alberts and Heyer from
yeah,
McClatchy,
oh yeah,
which means we're going to have them racing each other for the next couple of years, which will be fun. And
oh yeah,
they're just sophomores. They'll get faster, you would think. So that'll be kind of fun to watch.
yeah. No, no, for sure. But both those guys.
Yeah, it's hard because you would think, yeah, the 800. It's really you've got what the 200 and the 300 hurdles. There isn't much in between.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's a tough decision. So we mentioned Kiara Daly. She is one of the top runners in the 1600 from La Jolla.
right.
Who do you want to like give props to in the girls 1600?
Yeah. So she got third last year. She's run 4:40:28. I think that's her 1600 time toward the mile in Arcadia. So I mean she has to be up there. So an interesting one is Braylon Combe from San Diego Corona. She ran 4:39:73 last year at the state meet, got second. She hasn't quite been at that level, but she's run 209. She just finished second in her league behind her teammate. So we'll see. I mean, she could be a factor. You have Jordan Lieberman of Marietta Valley. She's run 4:43 this year at Arcadia. And then the one that's interesting, and I think she'll be definitely be a factor, is Kinga Tchaikovska of Palo Alto. So she's run 4:46:34, winning Stanford. If you look at her, what she's done this year, I don't think she's lost a race yet. I mean, like the Palo Alto won the DMR at Arcadia. They won the DMR at Stanford. She's
I
PR'd
want
in
to say
80,
she won the 800 heat in
at
Arcadia.
Arcadia also one of the earlier.
I've only
So
seen her win. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think she's crossed the finish line in second.
Mhm.
I mean, literally every time she's crossed the finish line this year, I think she's finished first. She's got a great kick, and if they're not going to have Sadie Engelhardt towing people out to fast time, so if the state meet is a tactical race, she's definitely a factor.
Yeah, absolutely. She's competitive. She likes to win.
Yeah,
You want to mention Jalen Williams has returned back into the top list. She had kind of a tough cross country season. We didn't see her at Arcadia.
yeah,
Nice to see her name in the both
yeah.
1600 and 3200.
So she's the defending champion in the 3200. I'm assuming that's where
Right.
she'll go, but that shows promise that she's running that fast in the 1600.
Yeah. It's good to see that. In the boys 1600, there are names here that may end up running the 3200, but let's just shout out to them how well they ran the 1600.
Sure. So yeah, so this is an interesting event. So right now, the top three boys in the 1600 potentially might not run it. They might run the 3200. So you have Evan Noonan, defending champion 3200, but he ran 4:04:88 at Stanford, just edging out Eli Fitch and Young, who ran 4:05:14. And then Landon Petrie just last week ran the Nike Jesuit Twilight Relays, and his 1600 time was 4:06:23. You have Aiden Stephanopoulos ran 4:06:62 at Stanford. That was just a great race.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting. I mean, Ben Bowie, who I coach, is the top returner. He got fourth last year, but he
Right.
hasn't really had a chance to race in some of the big meets. You have Connor Lott of Clovis North. He was Division One cross country state champion.
Mhm.
You got Grant Miller of La Serna. He won the 10.
He won the 10 by a lot. It was very impressive.
Yeah. So you got Dylan Jubak who won Mount Sac, ran 4:07:38. But then he was beat at his league meet by Griffin Cushion of Tesoro. So it's
Right.
yeah, it's wide open. It's
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 wide open. Yeah, I forgot about Griffin. Griffin ran well. You know, he made the big race at Arcadia.
yeah. And Aaron Sagaraju of Doherty Valley, he finished seventh last year at the state meet. He's up there also. So it's yeah, it's going to be an interesting race. Who makes it into the final? That's one thing about the state meet races. Very tactical. You make one mistake and you might not make the final. So it's
Right.
going to be super competitive.
Yeah, the Friday prelims are pretty intense.
Right.
The other thing too is you could say as a coach, well, you could run the 1600, the 3200s at the other end of the meet, but I've always found that kids are gassed. That's just such a hard two
Yeah.
days. You don't see that very often unless they're incredible.
Right. So as you know, I'm on like these Zoom calls with coaches um, from many other states, and you hear about kids like doubling and tripling and doing, amazing, like multi performances over many days. But in California, I mean,
Too deep.
unless you're a super elite runner, more than likely you're running one event. It's very difficult to double.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you might do the 4x8 as a throw-in event and hope your teammates kind of carry you, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
really hard. And people just look gassed. They look really tired.
Yeah, it's yeah, like I said, I mean it's just an incredible meet, and Buchanan is such a incredible
It's
facility.
great.
I mean it's like in cross country, everybody wants to be at Woodward Park, and in track, everybody wants to be competing at Buchanan.
I'm a Fresno State alum, and so it's not very often people say we want to be in Fresno, and so it's
Yeah.
great to hear that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the girls 3200. I don't know what's going to happen at the state meet, but Albert, we may talk about this in a couple weeks. But if it works out the way it could work out, you're going to have three defending champions on the line, which I
Right.
don't know if that's
Yeah.
ever happened.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and yeah, it'll be interesting like who leads and who does the work and what kind of race it will be. So you have Jalen Williams won last year. You have Riley Blade won the year before, and then did Hannah win 2 years
Hannah
ago?
won it as a freshman, and she's having a
Right.
really nice season.
Right. So yeah, she's PR'd in the 800. So at Arcadia, she got second behind Jane Hedegren
Right.
experience. So it's like this is a race where second is not too bad. But yeah, so she broke 10. So they ran a full 2 miles at Arcadia, but she broke 10. Kiara Daly also broke 10. It looks like at a dual meet. So she ran
Oh,
9:58:02,
that's impressive.
and then Riley Blade. So I think a lot of girls have said they've finished second behind Jane, but she's the one that ran 15:16 in that indoor
Right. It was impressive.
5K, and
Mhm.
and she was only I think 3 seconds behind Jane, which is
She looked comfortable too most of the
yeah.
race. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is going to be a great race. Holly Barker is another one. So Trabuco Hills had the top team in California this year in
Right.
cross country. So she's their lead runner. So I mean, it's like you said, it should be a fun race. And the great thing about the 3200 is there's no trials. You qualify the week before from your section. Some sections may be a little before that, but it'll just be one final. And if I don't think, I mean, Daly will probably double, but Thompson won't double. I'm assuming Blade won't double, and probably Jalen Williams won't double either.
Right. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's very deep. There's some excellent runners all the way down. And then in the boys 3200, we talked about the 1600. The some of those superstars in the 1600 may just not do the 1600 and just focus on the 3200. But there's the break the magical 9 minute barrier. Many California kids have done that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I think many coaches who've been coaching around a while, they find themselves, or I find myself saying, somebody ran this time. At that time, that was a really good time. So like
Right.
Matt Justo ran 9:05 at the state meet, got third. This is a future Olympian.
Right.
He was a Kinney cross country champion, but he ran 9:05. It's like now 9:05 is probably like 40th on the list.
Right. It's
So
amazing.
so yeah. So I think, I mean, at right now, Landon Pretry of Menlo, he has the fastest time. He was the top California finisher in the Arcadia 3200, which turned into a very tactical race. I think when you put, I don't know what it was, four sub 4 minute milers, everybody
Right.
Everybody did not want to, put themselves on the line. So it turned into so I think they went on in like 4:30 or something like
Went
that.
out in 4:30, and the top five runners were the five
Yeah,
boys that have broken,
sure. And then I think Owen ran like 4:09, 4:10 or something like that in the second mile.
which would be a good 1600-meter time.
Yeah, not yeah, for normal human beings.
Right.
So Landon, ran a great race at Arcadia and he's been running really well, just PR'd in the 1600, just PR'd in the 800. And so he's definitely up there. So it's interesting, three of the top four uh, times are from the CCS, and
Yeah, there you
CCS
go.
has an amazing group of seniors this year on the boys side. So you got Josef Burhan who ran 852 at Arcadia, and then
Mhm.
you got Eli Fitch and Young who won Dublin, ran 856 there. Evan Nunes, the defending champion. It's possible he could be the two-time defending champion, but 2 years ago he fell in the race and had
He
to rally
did.
the third place. So he's
He fell pretty hard and the fact he
yeah,
finished third was really impressive.
yeah. So I think he's had a couple of tough races, but he's pretty tough. And when championship season comes around, he's usually there and he's got a big kick. So
Yeah.
he's definitely will be a factor. Aiden Stephanopoulos will probably double again, and he's also run sub 9. And yeah, I mean, I think anybody that's run sub 9 is a contender, and who can bring it home the last 800.
As a distance fan, like I just said earlier, 4 races in a row, 4x8s, 3200s. It's going to be
Yeah,
so amazing. It's going to be really
yeah.
fun.
And then the 4x4s are not bad,
Four by
like
fours are very exciting. We have this, we have like got the LA Long Beach Poly
oh yeah.
tradition going. Long Beach Wilson girls then you got the Servite kids, which are pretty
Oh yeah,
incredible.
no, it's just like I said, it's so the Friday meet you got all the trials, and then when you get to Saturday, you had like every single race is just like, oh, I can't believe somebody just did
Right.
this, and I mean we could have Servite, break 40 in the 4x1 relay, which we've never had. They ran 40.0 at Arcadia, so
Mhm.
that's definitely I think in the mix. I'm Buchanan's pretty fast track. So even without Sadie not competing this year, I think that opens it up for other people and
Right.
should be once again it'll be a great meet.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. And I appreciate you, Coach, coming on a busy time for you. And we want to talk to you when we get close to the state meet. So thank you so much for coming on.
All right.
We'll talk to you in a few weeks.
All right.
We want to thank Coach Albert Caruana for coming on today and talking about some of the top runners in California in the distance events. And it's going to be very exciting to see which athletes choose what events they go to and if they can make it through the different CIF preliminary races to get to the California State Meet. And this weekend, I am going to the University of Oregon, Hayward Field, to go to the Oregon Twilight. I haven't been to University of Oregon so far this year, but I'll be there a lot after this. There's a lot of great meets between now and the U.S. Championships in late July, so I'm looking forward to being back at that wonderful stadium. And so you can look forward to photos from that event later on this weekend. Until then, remember that the West Coast is the best coast. Thanks.